We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
Hello, and welcome once again to another Tuesday, another fantastic Tuesday where we're going to do what we do best, which is help you get financially literate. We are in a full-on recovery. My name is Tyrone Glover. I am the dressed-down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery, and I am so grateful, so happy, so pleased, and always so blessed to be able to do what I do best, which is help you find out how to get out of these financial circumstances, situations, and constraints to help you recover. This is a full-on recovery of 2023. So if you are ready, if you're not ready, get ready. If you are ready, stay ready, because I'm telling you right now, what you're going to be learning this year is going to help you get through this false narrative of how things are. They were bad, obviously, prior to, and my heart and soul goes out to those we lost during the COVID, but we got to stop using that as an excuse, folks. Got to stop using that as an excuse. We got to stop using, I didn't know, how come, and so forth and so on. I'm telling you right now, the experts are there. They're there to help you. The service industry is going to blow up. If you have a service that you are good at and you've been doing it for an amount of time, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to walk you through first starting it as a home-based business and then moving it into that other realm where, again, if you want to make a profit, get it into that tax understanding, then go out there and make that real bread. But at first, just start it at home. Find a niche hobby, something that is already ongoing out there, solidifying it, and make it part of your repertoire. Again, recovery. We're going to be talking about new credit laws. Every single year, new credit laws come out, and it's our duty to look into it, find out what's going on, and we did that. We got a couple of them that we're going to go over today with you. So if you're ready, let's dive on into it. But prior to that, we want to give a shout out to the creator, because without him, none of this would be possible. And before we get it going, you know what I do. Get that device, go ahead and send it out to somebody and say, hey, he's back on again. He's doing what he does every single Tuesday, which is give you some great information that's going to help you get to that next level. We want you to be successful. If you want to be successful, make it happen. All right, so we're going to be talking about new credit laws of 2023. And those credit laws are going to help you with understanding, am I doing things the right way? Is someone taking advantage of me? If you don't know your rights, guess what? You do not have them. So the necessary conversation continues. 2023 recovery has begun. All right, so the change of rules and laws. Federal and state consumer law rights scheduled to go into effect or expire during the period of November 17th, 2022 through December 31st, 2023. So that basically is saying there's some laws that were already on the books in 2022, and they're just now getting into play because the new calendar year has started. and they will go through until December of 31, 2023. Consumer laws change will be enacted later in 22. So that means, again, all where they're saying is that they had some on the books. They didn't get in play until actually 2023. So this presentation will highlight a few credit-related changes whose effective date has already been scheduled. So as the months go through, January, February, March, April, and so forth and so on, these new laws will become in effect. So it's really important to know, how are they going to impact you? You also have federal laws, state laws. All right. Federal laws, state laws. The federal laws are obviously up on top. The state laws cannot go below federal laws. They can supersede them, but they can't go below them. So it's really important to understand your state laws have to be even more stringent than the federal laws. Really important to understand that. And if you are unsure, as I stated, make sure you email us at leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. If you can't reach us that way, reach us out through Soul City Network. They are a great resource for all content that, again, is helping our community get out valuable information out to you. So the definition, the set of what is obviously a practice that the federal government and the state will look horribly upon if you're doing this. If you're doing this as a business, if you're doing this and you're circumventing the laws, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, again, this applies to them, banks, lenders, anyone who's doing something that could impact you negatively, that is called a deceptive trade practice. All right. So you want to be careful. You want to know these things because of the fact it's going on every single day. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, these are habitual abusers. And it's sad that I have to constantly keep reminding not them, but us of their malfeasance. You got to get in front of this. It's very important. I want Congress to understand as well. I have to say this now. The new Congress that we're getting, I don't really think they're going to be doing much. So it's going to be up to us, the citizens, to make sure that we're acting upon anything that we feel that might fit into this description here or this definition. So any falsely disparaging or misleading oral or written statement, visual, description, or other representation of any kind made in connection with the sale, lease, rental, or loan, or in connection with the offering of sale, lease, rental, or loan of consumer goods or services, or an extension of consumer credit, or in the collection of consumer debt, which has the capacity, tendency, or effect of deceiving or misleading consumers. That's a lot. It's a mouthful, but again, it's all in a nutshell. Don't let yourself get taken advantage of by believing what people are putting either in writing or if they're giving you orally. If it sounds funny, probably is funny. If it smells like a skunk, it probably is a skunk. If it walks like a duck, it probably is a duck. So please be careful in all of your dealing. Deceptive practices are out there. We got a lot of individuals, whether they be rich, Elon Musk, whether they be poor, doesn't matter. Your friendly neighborhood homeless person. You really want to be careful with whom you're dealing. Rich people are just as scrupulous as those who are criminals. Again, I'm not calling everybody a criminal. So as I tell my students, don't personalize this. Don't internalize this, because if you do, you're going to be walking around upset and angry all the time. This is meant for those who are egregiously overreaching and taking from those who could truly use every penny that they have. I'm talking about the working poor and the middle class. They need this information, our services, more than anyone out there. I'm talking about 70% of this population in the United States that could benefit richly from just this information just today. just today's information. I want you equally to go back and look at Soul City Network and view some of the other recordings that I've done previously. I talked about a bunch of topics, and I'm going to still keep talking about a bunch of topics. You need to know this information because, as I tell you, you're going to have to fight for yourself. You're going to have to be the best pro se litigant that you can be. Pro se litigant basically means you represent yourself. Now, I know you've heard that saying, only a fool is a client of themselves or something related to that. Well, in this particular situation, a civil situation, you're your best advocate. You know your situation better than anyone. Why would you pay someone hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per hour to do something that you can do yourself? All you need is the knowledge. That's where I come in. I am an expert in this area, and I'm going to call myself an expert because others have called me an expert. I'm the aficionado in this area because I've done more, and I've integrated my business knowledge. I've used my academic understanding, and I've incorporated so that I can give you the best understanding of how you can negate and come out on top. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a financial matter that is a item that was been charged off, late payments. It doesn't matter. If it affects your credit, you and I should be talking about how it's impacting you. And if you can't, for whatever reason, you have somebody already out there, get a second, third opinion. It doesn't matter. Do what you have to do to protect yourself. Again, misleading deception. That is what deceptive trading practices are. Too many companies, too many individuals, too many third, fourth party lenders. They're taking advantage of you because they know how to get, basically, they know how to get you to do what they want them to do. Now it's time to flip the script and get you to do what we need you to do to prevent these horrible, horrendous practices from continuing. So there you have it, this definition of what deceptive trade practices are. And three of the biggest culprits when it comes to your credit report: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Must be careful, and it's overdue time for these entities to know consumers are no longer playing around with their shenanigans. Done, over, fini. All right, so federal and state consumer protection laws. No person shall engage in any deception or deceptive or unconscionable trade practices in the sell, lease, rental, or loan, or in the offering of sell, lease, loan, or loans of any consumer goods or services in the collection of consumer debt. You can't do it. It's just that simple. Federal laws, state laws can supersede federal laws, but they can't go below the federal law. All right. I wanted to put that out there because I need you to understand you have rights. Why are we not executing those rights? I'm in the state of New York, and obviously this applies not just to the state of New York, it applies also to other states. It applies to other states. We must do a better job in understanding how we get resolved for our financial concerns that we already know, or you might not know. You might not know that a charge-off can come off your report. You might not know that a late payment can come off your report. You might not know that something on your report that probably isn't supposed to be on your report is on your report. I had a consumer during our Saturday sessions, which I'm so grateful for Yonkers Public Library. We had an individual who found out there was an American Express on her card. She's like, I don't know who this is. This isn't my card. I said, well, actually, it is your card because it's on your credit report. Now, the one plus to that was that consumer, whoever it was that had gotten that American Express, they were doing the right thing. So I said to the client, I said, well, it wasn't a client, it was a student. So I said to the student, I said, well, how about this? Let's not close it right away, or let's not ring up the alarm. Let's find out who may have done it. Sad to have to say this as well, but likelihood it's probably somebody within the household or in the family that gained access to the individual's credit profile. And now they went out and got a credit card. But as I stated, The fraud is the fraud, no question about it, but the individual ended up doing the right thing. So I gave her the understanding of what she has to do, and I look forward to seeing her or hearing back from her in a couple of weeks to find out what the resolution was. But again, federal laws, state laws, they're there to protect us. If you don't know them, you don't have them. But now that you are aware of them, reach out to us who will be able to navigate you through there so successfully. And that's what we're here to do, folks. 2023 recovery. It's all about you. It's all about those who want to benefit, whether it be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. We are now in this full-on understanding. Again, I can talk about politics, and briefly I want to hit on that. We got a new House. We got the Democrats in charge of the Senate, and we have the Republicans in charge of the House. And what I'm already witnessing and seeing, it's going to be a tumultuous 2 years. It's going to be 2 years of investigating the investigators who investigated the investigators. It's going to be a clown show. So get ready, folks. Get ready. But while we're getting ready to watch the nonsense, let's focus on the common sense of what we have to do when it comes to our financial understanding. We have already gifted. We already gave out $211 billion. We already broke records during the season of giving, during the season of thanks. We already did everything that we needed to do to enrich the Targets, the Walmarts, the Sam's Clubs, the Amazons, the Alibabas. We did everything to enrich these individuals, make sure that they could break records and give their CEOs and their CFOs and all of those at that higher level the wonderful bonuses. But you at that middle level and that below level, what are you getting? Oh, I know what you're getting now. You're getting the bill for it all. You're now looking at that credit card wondering, oh my God, why didn't I just wait? Well, Mr. Glover, Tyrone Glover, the credit expert, I was telling you what to do all year long. I was telling you, take it easy, slow down. Don't go out there spending like you think you need to spend, because inflation is already, it was hovering around 7 or 8%. I told you, hold off. Then as we got closer to those holiday seasons, I even ramped it up a little bit. I said, why don't you just pause? Why don't you just pause this year? Why do you got to go out and spend doing all of these crazy things to enrich everybody or to impress people that you don't even like? But you didn't listen. You went out and you did what you wanted to anyway. And that's perfectly fine. My job is not here to scold you or tell you what to do. It's to inform you. It's to give you as much of a recommendation. And that's all it is, a recommendation, helping you to decide. Do I or do I not? What you ultimately do is your decision. But you got to get smarter now as we navigate through these understandings. Got to be careful too, because there's deceptive practices out there. You have laws that protect you. Enact those, use those. And if you are unsure, please reach out to us. We are here to help. Doesn't matter your ethnicity, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your anything. Male, female, pronoun, doesn't matter. Black, white, Asian, Middle Eastern, Caucasian, doesn't matter. You need help. We are here to help you. Bottom line. All right, so what's new with the feds? We're going to be talking about, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about a few of these credit laws. And again, there are a bunch of laws that come out every single year. As I told you before, if it's not abundantly clear, I'm a credit guy. I stay in my lane. I have nothing to do with taxes. I can tell you a little bit about them. But when I have other experts out there, why would I want to take on taxes when I can just nicely package it up and slide you right on over to someone else who is just as passionate about what I am passionate about? They're equally passionate about their subject matter. So we have a host of individuals that would be able to help you no matter what the financial circumstance is. That's one of the brilliance of having Soul City Network as our network, because they attempt to place the ideal candidates in their segment so that it would get you exactly what you need. It's a pro African American channel, but it's open to all. And this is primarily, as I stated before, African Americans. We know how much you're struggling. We know how much you're going through it. And our job now is to make sure that you have outlets to where you can turn on almost every single dime when it comes to information. So I'm grateful for Soul City, and so should you. But again, if you can't reach me, reach out to them. They will make sure that I get that information. And also equally, if you need to, they'll make sure that Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse of Access Wealth Nation, which is on Thursdays at this same time slot, a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant mind who knows the other portion of the financial realm that I myself will not dive in, but she, as always have been said, she is a brilliant, brilliant individual who has received more than her fair share of accolades, one of the first Black women on Wall Street. And again, I'm so pleased to call her my friend and my mentor. All right, so let's talk about what the Fed's got in store for you this year. All right, so March 30th, 2023, reporting of medical debt. Reporting of medical debt, the three major credit bureaus, and again, that bureau word is always going to be put into the understanding because I need you to understand they're not bureaus. They don't belong to the United States government in any capacity. They are your regular, ordinary Joe customers, or companies that do exactly as I've told you before. They are habitual abusers. I can go through report after report after report after report after report, decades long, of how these three companies have taken advantage of consumers, and they're still doing it today. There's a conflict of interest when it comes to Congress and how they do when it comes to regulating these companies. Just because you get hit with a fine and a fee, you turn around and you write that fine and the fee off. It doesn't affect your business. All it does is it emboldens you to go out and do more. Citizens, fellow Americans, we have to do better at making sure that these companies are going to be held accountable for their malfeasance. All right, so here you have it. We'll institute a new policy by March 30th, 2023 to no longer include medical debt under the dollar threshold. The dollar threshold will be at least $500 on credit reports. Such medical debt under that threshold will never be reported, even if unpaid and even if in collection. So there's some pluses to this understanding. The question is, are you going to be looking at your credit report to make sure that they are following the law in accordance? Now, I tell everybody, make sure you get with somebody who is a tax professional. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm not giving you any other advice other than credit advice so that you can be monitoring your credit profiles to make sure that none of these things that are now new laws are showing up on your credit report. Because trust me, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, they may put it into their understanding, but are they going to react upon it? Doubt it. They will not react upon it until you, the consumer, gets out there and calls them out on it. So here you have a medical debt that could potentially be harmful, or if you're not doing it, if you're not doing anything, it could be harmful, but if you're doing something, it would probably save you the headache and all of the heartache if something like this were to appear on your credit report. All right, so we got a July 2023. So you can see month for month, things change. And as I stated, you can go right to new credit laws and you can see exactly what's on the books. What's on the books in your state, what's on the books as far as the federal government, and you can take the necessary action should these items appear or show up on your credit report that are now could be in violation of your consumer rights. So the FCC limits on robocalls, and I've been getting a lot of them. I'm sure you've been getting a lot of them. I'm sure probably enough people have been getting a lot of them, and we're now exhausted with them. So the FCC on December 27, 2002, so you can see it, 2022, my apologies. You can see this was something that was already in works. It already had received its seal of approval, but it needed to wait until July 2023 before it became an actual new law. So it was issued a new law that limits to 3 the number of pre-recorded debt collections or informational non-telemarketing calls that a caller can make to a residential line, including landline. Now that residential line, I mean, does it say cell phone? Does it say electronic device? Again, It's the play on words that we really have to think about. But if we go to residential line, that is obviously something that is a landline. So we need them to get a little bit more specific so that we stop getting what we primarily use as our means of communication, which is our phone. We need the laws to be more strengthened. I don't even want to see it on my phone, on my cell phone. I get so many calls, not from debt collectors, but I get a lot of robocalls. I'm cool with those types of robocalls, but I don't even want those types of robocalls because as a credit guy, I don't get debt calls. I'm not in any debt. The debt that I own is about this big. And I want to get you into that because remember, there's good debt and there's bad debt. We want to keep you in the good debt category. And sometimes you can have a bad debt like an auto loan, but as long as you're paying on that auto loan, it might be bad in the sense that you have a high balance, but as long as you're meeting those understandings, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right. And the understandings that I'm referring to, paying on time, making sure you're bringing down that utilization. Those are the two things that help out with whatever debt that you may have. If you have a credit card debt, again, it's only bad if you're not managing it properly. It's always good if you're doing the right things. So in a third party period, unless the consumer has consented to more frequent calls. Don't know too many people that are saying to debt collectors, oh yeah, please call me all the time. Call me all the time. Call me all the time. And if you do happen to get a call and you're picking it up, don't run from the calls. There's certain things that you can use and say that will help you negate and also have them stop calling. You have to want to know these things. And I'm not going to drop all of the dimes. I'm not going to give you all of the goodies. I want you to keep coming back. So come back next week or come out on Saturday. This Saturday here at Yonkers Public Library, I'll be doing another show. And I'll talk more about that as we get down in the latter portion of this PowerPoint here. So the calls must include an automated interactive opt-out mechanism, and callers are prohibited from calling after the consumer has requested that the call stop. All right. Sometimes you can say, hey, I do not wish to have these calls. Well, it's going to take 30 days for it to clear out the system and blase, blase. Doesn't seem like it should. Seems like it's an on and off type of situation. If you call me and I know you're in my computer, all I have to do is go to the computer, tap a couple of keys, and that should come right out. It's just that simple. Just like you delete a file or delete something from your computer or your phone, it should be that simple. But unfortunately, the habitual abusers and those who are entrusted with public understanding always are going to tell us something that is false. Remember what I told you at the beginning, deceptive and misleading practices. If somebody tells you it's going to take 30 days, hold them to that 30 days. If you still get something within that, obviously you got to pause. But after that 31st day, if you get a phone call, definitely by all means start thinking lawsuit. Start thinking class action lawsuit. I'm going to have to do a show on class action lawsuits because I believe that's something that we more of us need to really start reining in on. We should really start needing to look at, can we get 20, 30, 40, 50 people together and start suing the bejesus out of these habitual abusers? Because clearly Congress is not doing it. Clearly our attorney generals are not doing it. Clearly there's a lot of regulatory bodies that are not doing it. And the only reason why I can tell you they're not doing it is because there's a conflict of interest. Anytime that you're invested in a company, it's going to be very hard for you to regulate that company because it's going to affect your bottom line. So we need to hold Congress equally as we need to hold these habitual abusers accountable for the malfeasance that impacts us, Black, brown, working, poor, middle-class citizens. We're setting ourselves up for failure, and the recipients of this horrendous abuse is only going to be our children. It's only going to be our loved ones. It's going to be the most vulnerable people that are coming up through society because we haven't created a stable footprint or a stable platform for them to even begin to think about generational wealth or to even begin to think about all the luxuries that come with living. Because right now, far too many of us are just existing. Got to break this stranglehold that these uber rich, uber wealthy, rich people have on thinking that we're their bread and butter. We're not. They got more money than money's got money, but yet they still keep thinking that they got to get into our pockets. We barely have anything in there anyway. Got to do better. Got to know more about how we protect ourselves from these egregious overreaches. All right, so these calls requested that the call stop. The new rule goes into effect 6 months after publication in the Federal Registry, so that it will probably go into effect in mid-July 2023. So it's out there, won't go into effect until 2023. Mark your calendar for that date and be aware of any type of robocalls that you might be getting after that time frame. And again, if it is excessive, if it's violating, again, it says 3 numbers, 3. That means 1, 2, 3. You get more than that in any given day, somebody needs to start hearing from you. And if it's multiple individuals, you need to start thinking class action, class action. We don't even need a law firm. No, because a lot of these law firms want to take 33, 40%. For what? To argue? To argue to settle? Well, we don't need you to argue to settle. I'll argue it. Oh, you can't argue it? Oh, absolutely, I can. And we'll talk about that later on. All right, so here's another one. August 29th, 2023, the federal student loan payment pause. And you all know that there was a payment pause that was put on. It's 2 items are being litigated before the courts, but let's talk about this really quick. Federal student loan payment pause. The payment pause on federal student loans was extended into 2023 until 60 days after the Department of Education is permitted to implement its debt relief program. So the cancellation that they had of 10 and 20,000 in student loans or litigation is resolved. So one of these 2 things have to happen. The litigation currently right now is ongoing, and that's what we're basically waiting for. So includes the 2 cases to be argued before the Supreme Court on February 28th. So those cases must be heard prior to. If neither event happens by June 30th of 2023, the borrowers must start making payment after 60 days after the June 30th timeframe. So it's really important to understand that. You might not be making any payment now due to the pause that has been placed, but if neither one of these things happen, the program doesn't enact, or those 2 court cases have not gone through or fully to its understanding or adjudicated in the courts, borrowers may have to start making payments. I saw something earlier today on the TV in referencing something similar to this. But again, there are new laws out that are about federal student loans. If you are unsure, please reach back out to whoever might be holding your federal loan. If you're not in deferment, please get into a deferment. I can tell you right now, federal loans have not done what they were supposed to do. They have set you up for failure. I am very fortunate that I went to school in Europe. I didn't have any of this so-called American horror show debt that we have saddled our students with. Over $2 trillion worth of falsities. You told our kids that, hey, there's going to be great jobs out there for you. Go ahead and go to school. Go ahead and get that further education, to find out that there was absolutely nil there. Nothing. You made these individuals take on all of this debt to do what? You raised the prices. All of these universities need to be ashamed of themselves. You have some of these universities have endowments that will outlast us as long as we live. They got more money than money, but yet they're still attempting to rob students, plunder them, not give them the adequate academics or the education that they're entitled to. And I can start off at the level of where I am. I am a teacher, substitute teacher, currently in a school here in Yonkers, and I've been in quite a few of the schools here in Yonkers. And I'm pleased to say I love what I do, and it's never worked for me. But to be in that culture where you would think that we have not been educating people for very long. We've been educating people from the since time itself, but yet we're doing it in a manner to where our students are not receiving adequate understanding when it comes to the academics or the community in a whole, in a nutshell. We have to do better. But talking about this piece here, obviously there's some understanding that if this is not resolved by a certain time frame, you might have to start making payments again. So please stay in front of this. You got about 8 months. I would definitely be reaching out to whomever has your debt and make sure that they are including you, in whichever correspondence that might be necessary. Just another heads up. All right, buy now, pay later accounts. Add it to clients' files. Buy now, pay later. Well, wait a minute. You're probably thinking, well, how does that have an impact on my credit? Well, let's take a look. So buy now, pay later. If you've shopped online at places like Amazon, Walmart, or Target, you've probably been offered the opportunity to pay for your purchases in installments through an emerging credit model called Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNPL, which BNPL consumers pay for purchases over several weeks or months, often with no interest. BNPL accounts may be classified on your credit report as short-term loans, and that can lower your credit score. So you really want to be careful now that they're using these companies are going to use whatever they can to keep you in harm's way. I'm talking primarily to working poor, middle class. Gotta be careful. You're the ones who is using this, not rich folks. That 70% that I talked about earlier, this is where it's going to impact you the most because your credit scores clearly aren't where they need to be. And if we're doing these types of understandings, which I'm almost certain that a lot of people did, again, I'm talking about the holiday seasons that have already passed. You went out shopping this year, you are probably someone who is sitting in now one of these BNPL types of situation, and it's going to lower that score. So here's why. The average age of your credit account is a factor in calculating your FICO score. The gauge of credit worthiness, most commonly used by banks and lenders. Each new credit obligation, including from BNPL, which again, buy now, pay later, deals decrease the average age of your credit history. And some people are using buy now, pay later repeatedly. So it's really important to be careful with these understandings. If you are unsure, reach out to somebody prior to. If you're already in the midst of it, make sure that you're checking your credit report. The CFPB is giving that credit report, again, still giving that credit report for every week. So you can still get your, not the CFPB, my apologies, the, annual credit report. My apologies. Annual credit report is giving you your free credit report still for every week. Every week. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be through the entire year of 2023. So you still have the ability to get in front of, correct, and adjust, make all the necessary understandings while we are going through this recovery. It's very simple. If you've already done your returns, now as you prepare for tax season, which is in April, start putting your best foot forward when it comes to your credit. Then once tax season is here, you can knock that out. You can be looking at your hopefully breaking even. If you're giving money back to the government, that means you didn't do the right thing. And if the government is giving you money, that equally means you didn't do the right thing as well. You should always be breaking even, coming out of pocket with almost zero. All right. Not looking for a big return and obviously not looking to pay. Okay. So each new credit obligation, including from BNPL, deals decrease the average age of your credit history. And some people are using buy now, pay later rapidly. The bottom line, even if you pay a BNPL account on time, be mindful of the possibility that it may hit your credit score. All right. They're not telling you. You're thinking, oh, this is nothing because I'm not attaching it to, but in all actuality, they've structured it out so that it could show up on your credit report. So be very, 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 very careful. More than half of Americans remain optimistic about their financial future. All right. We still are in a financial crisis for a lot of America. We are still looking at a lot of people looking at their financial future and going, I don't know if I'm going to be okay. Despite the challenges, microeconomic environment, TransUnion's new Consumer Pulse study found that more than half, 52% of Americans are optimistic about their financial future during the next 12 months. If you are optimistic and you are unsure and you are in a situation where you don't see any way out, before you decide to go bankrupt, before you decide to rob a bank or, again, do anything drastic, reach out to Leverage Credit Recovery. Okay? We got solutions. We can probably solve so many of your financial problems because of my background in the institutions that I've worked prior to. As I said before, if you don't know who I am or don't know anything about me, go back to some of those previous recordings and get a little bit of history. I am a 30-year corporate America executive that has worked for 19 different companies. I've had the opportunity of partaking in 4 different unions. And I can tell you, every single one of these opportunities that I've had, I've enjoyed them to the utmost until they became too much. And I'm a person who I have zero problem in cutting ties because, again, it's got to be a mutual understanding. Both parties have to benefit from the relationship. And once that relationship turns, again, I've said all the time, once that relationship goes 51-49, 51 is going to try to get to 55. Once 51 gets to 55, they're going to try to get to 60. You're now looking at an upside down relationship. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So as soon as you give someone more leverage, they're going to continue to keep taking more and more and more. So that's why it's important too. If you are unsure, 52% of Americans say they don't know about their financial future for the next 12 months and probably even beyond then. So the youngest generation, millennials, 64%. I'm seeing them already in school. They're hungry for, but they don't have enough experience. And these individuals are so outspoken that they themselves can't get out of their way because they have more answers than they do questions. That's a sad thing to be when you're an adolescent at 10 or 12 or 15 or 18, or even I'm going to reach into that 20, 21, 25. You don't have enough experience. You don't have enough understanding. So I get why you're kind of on pause when it comes to your financial understanding, why you think, oh, you know what, I'm not going to have enough, because you look at mom and dad. If you're a Black, Hispanic, Black and brown, if you are middle class or working poor, I can see why these numbers are so high. If you're uber rich or rich, remember what I always say too. There are those who are not talking to you, but yet we listen to them anyway. CNBC, they're not talking to you. Jim Cramer, all of those rich individuals, they're not talking to you. Earn Your Leisure. They're not talking to you. As much as I love and appreciate these brothers, because they are brothers out there doing what brothers should be doing, which is enhancing and helping other brothers, these brothers are not talking to middle class and poor folk. They're not. Any group out there that claims that they are trying to help you get to that next level, if they're multi-millionaires or 100,000aires, they're not talking to you because you're a 100aire. Yes, I broke it into the most simplest understanding. If you make $100, hundreds of dollars per month, you're a 100aire. Stay in your lane. Talk to those who are now 1,000aires, because that's where you need to try to get to. If you're a 1,000aire, stay in your lane. That means you're making thousands of dollars per month. That means you're a 1,000aire. Stay in that lane. Focus on getting yourself out of that 1,000 lane and putting yourself into the 10,000aire lane. All right, you get where I'm going? Really simple to understand that. Stop trying to listen to those. If you're going to invest, different understanding. Warren Buffett, I listen to him all the time. He's a billionaire and I'm nowhere near a billionaire. But his ideas that has helped him get to those billions has also given me some ideas of how to help myself when it comes to investing. All right. So I'm not saying everything that they're saying, but when you got individuals out there running around talking about, oh, we're in a recession. We're in a recession. We're not in a recession. And it's simple math, folks. 5 positive indicators, 3 negative indicators. Simple math. My positives outweigh my negatives, so that means I'm not in a recession. Done. I don't have to say anymore. So all of you out there who wear the shirts, assets, or liabilities, please make sure that you're not the liability. And Gen Z, 61% are most optimistic. So again, the very groups that I get to see every single day in school are literally afraid that they will not have the same opportunities as their parents. But I'm here to tell them, not only do you have a better chance than your parents, you can do far, far, far greater. It's a recovery, folks. And I put up a slide once before that walked us through every single recovery. This last recovery was about 2 years. 2 years. The last pandemic that we had was in 1918, and it took us 29 years to get out of that recovery. 29. But the steep incline that happened over the course of, people made money. They made money. And there was another chart that I had, and I'm going to show that next week, that shows you 24-year increments. 24-year increments from 1928 up until 2022, where if you were investing, if you had the means and the wherewithal to understand how to invest and get in there, you made money. You made money, 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 money. And that's what we have currently out there. That's why we have a individual who owns a social media platform that's been blessed with, I guess people want to call him a genius. I call him a moron. But he's been blessed with wealth, but yet his wealth has not given him the understanding that you should do more good with that versus doing more evil with that. But that's another topic for a whole nother day. So the optimist level are occurring again against a backdrop wherein 82% of consumers believe the United States is currently in or will be in a recession before the end of 2022 or 2023. Now, there could be some truth to that, but as I stated before, prior to all of this, were we in a pandemic? No, we weren't. So they're predicting that because of the pandemic, things could get worse, which they could, no question about it. But what if things got better? What if what Biden just did with passing these infrastructure understandings, with passing these medical understanding, with giving citizens now, which we were hoping that it probably would have been extended, but due to whatever reasons, we have a Republican House, we have a Democratic Senate. It would have been so beautiful to have a Democratic House, but again, small margins. That means the Republicans are going to have to rely on the Democrats, or guess what? For the next 2 years, not very much will be getting done. So the Biden agenda could be on pause, but that doesn't mean that we as the citizens have to put our lives on pause. This would be an excellent opportunity, as I stated, for you as the citizen of this country to start recovering financially, start crossing those T's, start dotting those I's when it comes to making sure that your financial future is now ready for generational wealth. Overdue time, more than enough resources out there, more than enough opportunities out there. The service industry is getting ready to blow up. If you have a niche, if you have something that is already in demand, or if you're unsure that what you're doing is in demand, get out there, test the waters. There's ample resources to be had. There's ample opportunities to be had. There's more than enough for you to get out there and capitalize. You do not have to work for somebody who's going to treat you like, hate to say it, but just treat you horribly. And the working world, along with the academic community, has done that to Black, Brown, Middle Eastern, Asian, Caucasians, especially if you are poor and the working class. The middle class. If you are the working poor in the middle class, that's what has happened. The country, the employment situation, the benefits that's supposed to come with the country, that, again, if you're a citizen and you need services, the services are there. But they'll drive you almost more bonkers and batty than anyone else just to get what? 10 cents? $2, $3. These services are there for the people. But yet you have entities that will do everything that they possibly can to hold on to that money. For what? You don't use it, you don't get it for the following budget year. So I would think you would want to use it. But as I said, there could be a recession. I personally don't think there will be a recession. That's just me. I'm nowhere near on the level of all of these experts who've been doing it for 30 and 40 and 50 years. But I can tell you, based off what I've found out over the last 6 to maybe 10, I'll add a little bit more, put it up to 15. Oh, I don't think we're going to be in a recession. I think we as individuals just need to get smarter, stop listening to those who benefit off of whether we make out or not. They're still going to make out. So why not we make out? Because if they're going to make out, we should be making out. Just that simple. All right, folks, we are drawing it down. Again, we are at that point where it's time for you to get that contact detail. You want to know how to get in touch with us, and I want you to get in touch with us. I want you to be able to reach out and say, hey, you know what? I got an abundance of questions. Well, let's get those questions taken care of. I use this thing called Linktree. Linktree is really cool. I think it's one of the coolest things that I've actually been able to find. And everything that I get that's new, I always share. And it just puts all of your events and things under each other. Consumers can go and they can click here, they can click there, they can watch all of the videos. Whatever it is that you have, Linktree is allowing you to put it all onto one platform, and it's really, 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 really cool. I get no money from Linktree. I'm just saying it because it's really, 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 really cool. So it's Linktree Leverage Credit Recovery. That's Linktree Leverage Credit Recovery. Type that in and it'll bring you right to my Linktree, and there's a lot of cool links on there that you can click on. You can watch previous videos. You can get the appointment calendar. There's a variety of different cool understandings. Check it out. It's the best way to get in touch with us through our Linktree. Also, another way of getting in touch with us is through our email, leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. Leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. And still into the telephones. If you need to call, reach out. I know my number. I said I was in Yonkers, and 805 is a California number. I've had my number for almost 20 plus years. No way I'm giving it up. It's kind of like my social security number. So if you want to get in touch with us, send us a text, send us a quick, pick up the phone. I'd like to talk too. That would be 805-428-9424. All right, folks, looking forward to making even more of an impact this year. If you're looking forward to that, so are we. We have just updated our understandings. We're not going to be doing just one Saturday a month. I have been blessed, so blessed that they've opened up a couple of more Saturdays, and we are going to be back at it again next Saturday right here in Yonkers at our library. Thank you so much, Riverfront Library. Thank you so much, Eileen, for what you've done. The staff was brilliant, and everybody there at the library has been so helpful. I can't thank my city enough for doing what it needs to do to make sure that the citizens of this city have an expert to talk to. You want to talk finance? Come on down this Saturday, the Saturday coming up from 12 o'clock in the tech room. If you want to find out how you can better your financial situation, well, this is the time to do that now. All right. Topics include accessing your credit report. That's always going to be the first thing that I'm going to be asking you to do. You need to see the data. If you're not addressing the data, when you go to the doctors, what does the doctor do? They got to get that blood. They want to weigh you. They want to get some information, that data. Once they have that data, then they can start diagnosing. Then they can start setting you up for health and fitness. I want to do the exact same thing when it comes to your finances. Healthy finance makes you a healthy financial citizen. It's just that simple. Just that simple. But in order to do that, got to have a starting point, and the starting point is your credit report. Got to look at that data. So learn how to improve your credit score and the importance of financial literacy. Financial literacy for me is, it's like, it's not godly, but it's almost. It is really, really close. It is really, really close. When you start taking care of how your money works, your money starts to work for you. Right now, your money's working for everybody else. It's working for everybody else but you if your credit score is under 800. Yes, I said under 800. Wow, that seems kind of weird, Mr. Glover. Why under 800? 800 is getting you somewhere around that 1-2%. But I've seen people who got 780 and you're still in double digits. You're 20 points away from 800, but you're still in that double digit area. You need to be talking to someone like me. If you're reestablishing, you need to be talking to someone like me. If you are in financial harm's way and you have no clue and you're thinking about bankruptcy, you need to talk to someone like me. Because trust me when I tell you, I'm going to tell you, if you need to go bankrupt, go bankrupt. But guess what? As I told you before, new laws. Those bankruptcy laws, they're not designed to help individuals in the manner in which you might think. They're there to whatever it is that you want. You want a 13, you want a 7, you want a 9, you want a 12, you want 11. Yes, there are quite a few bankruptcies out there that you can get. All right. But as I stated, we are doing everything that we can to improve impact this year. And I'm so grateful that the library said, we want to give you more Saturdays. Thank you, Yonkers Public Library. And I'm asking all of you, if you're in the neighborhood, come on out, come down. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy all of the content. And it gives you the opportunity to socialize with those who equally are going through some form of the same thing. Sometimes it's better to have a little small group than to try to deal with it on your own. That comfort of having a body of 10 or a body of 15. Nothing larger than that because it gets a little bit intimidating. But 10 to 15, that's a great size. Create some camaraderie and make it happen for you this year. And as always, we are on social media. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, Snapchat. There we are. We are on a lot of the social media platforms that you're already experiencing and already using. Like us, follow us, join. This is how we get that information out to everybody who is in need of this information. And the more we sit on it, the more we allow for our loved ones, our friends, people who that we care and say we appreciate, we allow them to struggle. There's no reason to put our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow citizens in harm's way when we know how to help them get out of it. So I'm asking all of you, if you've watched tonight, if you're going to go back and watch later, please make sure you chime into our social media platforms and get others to chime in as well. It's only going to help get that information out to those who are in desperate need of it. And trust me, they're going to thank you for it. They're going to thank you for it, as I do always. And starting with that, thanks, I want to thank you for giving me part of your Tuesday. Got about 3 more minutes. So if there's anybody out there who's got a question, go ahead and pose that question while we wrap this up. This has been, again, one of the best opportunities that I've been given, and I'm going to constantly keep rewarding Soul City Network for this amazing opportunity and the great content that they have allowed for me to put together so that I can share it with you. I am one of the most, I'm going to say it, not probably, I'm going to say it. I am the luckiest person on the face of the planet because I get to do exactly as I want to do, which is share with you content that's going to help you get to that next level. So it's always a pleasure. It's always a joy. It's always a reward to be able to do what I do. So again, if you want to get in touch with me, again, my name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. My email is leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. The telephone number is 805-428-9424. And we look forward to doing this every single Tuesday for as long as breath is in my body, for as long as Soul City is around, for as long as we can. You need assistance, you need help, talk to the credit recovery expert. Let us get you through this 2023 and beyond. Once you're there, we hope that you will share, you will instill in others the importance of making sure that you are doing your part. Because I'm going to say it, if your money's not working for you, your money is working for somebody else. So get in front of this recovery now. As I stated before, the gifting, the rewarding, all of that is already done. If you haven't done your returns, get on your returns. But ladies and gentlemen, recover in 2023. I want to thank you, everybody. As always, be safe in your travels, your comings and goings. We love you. We appreciate you. Be safe, America.